Hey guys, and welcome back to the Bottleworks Hotel in Indianapolis. In this video, we're going to end our stay with some awesome coffee, some less than stellar breakfast, and my final thoughts and overall rating. With that introduction out of the way, let's get to it. Good morning, guys. I slept great. I hope you did too. So I've already taken advantage of the Nespresso machine this morning, but there's no such thing as too much coffee. So let's head downstairs and try out the coffee shop that's here in the hotel. Actually, but first, I want to show you guys something that I noticed this morning in the bathroom of all places. So I don't know how well that's coming through on camera, but you can see the toilet paper roll has the logo of the hotel sort of stamped or embossed on it. That is, that's really cool. That's kind of a trademark of a lot of higher end hotels. So I'm glad to see it here. But anyway, let's get downstairs and get that caffeine. So before we head down to the first floor, I think I actually want to make a quick stop on 2 and see if the photo booth is there. I think it is.
Going down.
I already like this floor a lot better than our floor. It's kind of neat. Well, I'm not saying photo booth quite yet, but there's a library. Nope. Well, let's go caffeinate. And maybe after a little caffeine, the breakfast, we'll have better luck.
Going down.
There's only 3 floors and a basement, so I don't think it's in the basement.
First floor.
So this is pretty cool. They actually have a pay it forward system for coffee. You can essentially, step 1, buy a beverage. Step 2, tell us who it's for. Well, you guys can read. I don't need to read it to you, but this is actually really cool. Something I've never seen before at any coffee location. There should be more pay it forward type setups in the world, you know? Today we just don't have enough of people taking care of people. We need more of that. All right, guys, coffee secured. I had never even heard of this or seen it before, but this is a Neapolitan latte. So vanilla, chocolate, strawberry syrup, blended up with some coffee and, you know, the normal latte thing. So you got some milk in there too. The weird thing is it smells just like Neapolitan ice cream, but I'm getting more chocolate than anything. Regardless, just for the quality, uniqueness of this, as well as the staff here, and 10 out of 10. Blue collar coffee company, absolutely rocks. So I even got this fine hat to commemorate my very first Neapolitan latte. But yeah, with the coffee and a fine new hat secured, let's head back up to the room and get this in-room breakfast ordered. All right, guys, so we made it back to the room with our coffee and our fancy new hat. I have been perusing the in-room dining, room service menu just to make kind of double sure what I want for breakfast. I will probably go with the sunrise burger, even though those buttermilk pancakes are still calling to me. But I feel like 2 entrees this early, well, 2 entrees at any point in time, is a little excessive. So I guess there's nothing that says I have to eat all of both. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna try and choose between the 2, or maybe not. It'll be a nice surprise for you guys. Keep the plot nice and thick in this video. I find it interesting that they don't appear to have any sort of electronic means of ordering room service. Most, you know, nicer hotels like this have, you know, their app or their website that you can use to order room service, and maybe, you know, I'm just missing it, I don't know, but it seems like this is a, you know, old school analog affair. I'm gonna have to go use the phone in the room and call down to room service and get that ordered up. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do, and then we will pick back up once the food gets here. All right, guys, so breakfast was just delivered. You'll notice that I have 2 plates here on this tray, along with a tiny little bottle of ketchup that we will probably need. Now, I will tell you that I didn't get the pancakes, but the lady on the phone from room service did manage to tempt me with a little add-on. So let's see what this top plate is. Oh, okay. This is actually the little add-on that we got. So, got a really nice looking cinnamon roll to go with our burger. Let's give it a try. Before I start eating, make a note of the Bottleworks robe, right? If we're gonna have breakfast in the room, we have to have breakfast in the room in style, right? Right. This thing is absolutely covered in icing. Really hope I don't drop anything on this robe and have to pay for it. Cinnamon roll is really, it's simultaneously gooey and really chewy, which I guess that kind of makes sense. Just complement each other, but it's a little crunchy, very flavorful. The icing isn't overpowering despite what it looks like on the plate. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 overall. All right, here's our burger. Man, this burger is looking good. So, we got a nice egg on top. There were no veggies mentioned in the description, so I'm not gonna fault them for that. Looks like there's a, kind of looks like an aioli sauce under the egg. Beef patty looks good. There's some bacon. Oh, there's mayo here too. Didn't notice that. Yeah, let's get this burger dressed up, guys. Bonus, lightly toasted, so I have high hopes. Well, I'll get more ketchup on these potatoes for sure. Pretty good. I'm getting on the road. Whoa, man, this burger is going to be messy. I can already tell. Jeez, okay. The yolk just broke. Wow, look at that. Oh wow, this is gonna be really messy. There's no way to go about this guy but just dive in. That is exceptionally messy. Okay, I'm gonna take this robe off before I end up having to buy it. All right, much better. So the burger overall, very messy, but also quite flavorful. The meat is pretty well seasoned. The egg is made really well. The bacon is pretty chewy. I'd like it just a little bit more crispy to complement the beef a little better. The bun is not too chewy. All the various components of this burger come together to make a burger that is pretty decent, really. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Now, let's try these potatoes. We will try the potatoes with nothing on them to start with. They're very well seasoned. And on my first bite, I thought, these aren't really crispy enough. But then on my second bite, I'm actually wondering if they aren't underdone. Let's try a little bit of ketchup here. Ketchup usually makes things better. Yeah, not a ton better really. These are underdone, at least for my taste. It's a good effort though. So I'm gonna give the tri-color potatoes, even though I only see one color, I'm gonna give these a 5 out of 10, I think. Just not feeling it. The burger is definitely superior to the potatoes. On that note, I am going to finish breakfast, start packing up, and then we will we'll head out on the terrace before it gets too hot, and we'll go through final thoughts, pros, cons, overall rating, all that good stuff. So I'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, so you'll notice that we're back in the studio, and that's because I encountered a couple layers of technical difficulties trying to record overall ratings, final thoughts, pros and cons. So first of all, tried to record out on the terrace, and unfortunately it's already so hot that my camera kept overheating, whether it was in the sun, which is pretty obvious, or in the shade. That didn't seem to help. So called an audible and moved inside to the air-conditioned conversation corner. Well, that worked great, or so I thought, until I had the opportunity to go back and watch the footage. And as it turns out, in my haste to get that recorded and get checked out in time, I had somehow changed the recording mode on my camera to 8x slow-mo. So, long story short, not usable footage. Awesome, right? Yeah. So, that means that now we're going to record overall score, final thoughts, pros, cons from the comfort of my home studio, which is okay, right? No big deal. There's nothing really hotel specific that we need for this particular segment. So let's get started. If you recall, we ranked Bottleworks as well as any future hotels we may adventure to on 5 different criteria. So first is overall property appearance, followed by staff and check-in experience, then room quality / cleanliness. Next up is entertainment and amenities, and finally food and drink. So we'll just start at the top and work our way down. So overall property appearance. This one I hope is kind of self-evident from the video itself, but this really was a absolutely beautiful property. Having been converted from an old Pepsi bottling plant, it's been done in a really careful way that clearly shows a lot of care for what this building originally was and the original architecture and the original details that made it such a stunning building, not only today but when it was built. So it really is spectacularly done. It's been meticulously maintained, super clean. Absolutely loved it. So 10 out of 10. Staff and check-in experience. This one is also a 10 out of 10. Staff were amazing. Everybody was super friendly, knowledgeable, not only about the hotel itself, but about the Bottleworks district as a whole. Everybody was welcoming. When I would go up to the front desk, they would actually act like they were, genuinely glad to see me and genuinely glad to, help me and answer any questions that I had. So everyone was great, even though Dominic did roll a 6 on his first try. No sixes, no sixes.
Oh my God. Can we do a reroll?
But we won't hold that against him. So next up, room quality and cleanliness. So this one was an 8 out of 10. Great room, super comfortable bed, super clean room, cold air conditioning. Really appreciated that, especially yesterday, and today, when it's just been so hot. Wi-Fi speeds were great. I was getting roughly, 500 megabits each way. On average, the speed test that you see on screen right now was a little bit less, but that's just the nature of Wi-Fi. It's going to vary. So plenty of outlets, both USB ports as well as traditional plug outlets to charge devices. I'm really pleased to see that in particular, to see that they really thought about the needs of today's modern traveler when they were designing these rooms. So getting into the negatives for the room, not really a negative, just more of an observation. So a few signs of normal wear and tear here and there. And I'm talking super minor nitpicky stuff like, the corners and edges of tables were a little bit worn, which is totally understandable and totally expected for about a 5-year-old hotel like this is. There's absolutely nothing that was huge or glaring by any means at all. Now, the reason that I am docking a couple of points from the room actually is due to the desk chair. So look at this thing, guys. Does this look like a chair or some sort of medieval torture device to you? Now, I will admit freely that I kind of am a bit of a diva when it comes to chairs. So right now I'm sitting in a Herman Miller Embody. And if you know anything about chairs, especially ergonomic office chairs, you'll know that this is one of the better ones. So I'm by no way trying to compare a $3,500 chair to the chair that was there in the hotel room. Now, what I will say though is I feel like they could have done a little bit better. They, in my opinion, prioritized form over function, and it absolutely 100% matches the decor of the room. It looks great, but to me it's just super uncomfortable, so much so that I don't think I could have gotten any I could have gotten a lot of real focused work in if I had to be working while I was visiting the hotel. I don't know, comfort is subjective. Maybe someone else really likes it, but it just, to me, was really uncomfortable. No armrests. To me, it was made to look good, not feel good. So that is definitely something that's in control of the hotel, and I would have liked to have seen them at least have struck a balance between at least a little bit of comfort while still matching the decor in the room. So yeah, the office chair and just a few little signs of wear and tear here and there is what is driving that 8 out of 10. Next up, entertainment and amenities. So there's a really nice basic selection of amenities in the hotel, but then there's an absolute ton of entertainment and amenities out in the larger Bottleworks district. So long story short, if what you're wanting to do or eat is not there on site at the hotel, then I can almost guarantee you that it's just going to be a short walk away, whether that's in Bottleworks directly or the hotel's right there on Mass Ave, so there's everything on Mass Ave, so a short walk in pretty much any direction, and you can get to something that you're looking for. I can almost guarantee it. Next up is food and drink. Unfortunately, this is where things start to fall down a little bit. So we're going to go in chronological order by restaurant or in-room dining, and just go through the scores. Then we'll have a cumulative dining score at the end. So first up, Clancy's hamburgers. So the fries. 1 out of 10, terrible, horrible, seasonless, floppy, broken, sad fries. Not a fan at all. 1 out of 10. Spicy chicken sandwich was very good. I rated that 8 out of 10. I have had better, but I've had very few that were worse. So definitely feel like that's deserving of that 8 out of 10. The cookies were just slightly above average. I'm not really sure what makes a spectacular chocolate chip cookie, but these were definitely just a little bit above middle of the road average. So 7 out of 10. The sweet tea was not sweet enough for me. Now that's obviously subjective, or everyone's palate is different, but all these scores are subjective based on my taste. So 6 out of 10 for the tea. If it had been a little bit sweeter, right out of the cup without having to add sugar or anything, probably would have given it a higher score, but it is what it is. So all those scores tallied up, overall score 22 out of 40, or 55%. Next up, Sundry and Vice. The old-fashioned 9 out of 10. It's pretty well made. I've had very few that were better, so put that near the top of the pack. 9 out of 10. The Long Island iced tea, I have definitely had better. I've also had much worse, so kind of stuck it just the high side of average. 7 out of 10, good enough, right? Now here's where things start to fall off just a little bit. for sundry advice from me. Value for money. So I spent $52.43 for 3 drinks and a water. And I just don't feel like the quality of those drinks really substantiates that price, right? I feel like they were just a little bit on the high side. Now, I fully admit and realize that I was in, a little bit of a touristy area, especially the bar inside the hotel, things are gonna be marked up, I get it. But regardless of that fact, I still feel like they charge just a little bit too much for their drinks. So everything added up there, that score is a 22 out of 30. So Blue Collar Coffee Company from earlier this morning, had that Neapolitan latte, 10 out of 10 all day long. Never knew that something like that existed, but it was really, really good. I really, really enjoy trying new things like that. So that was right up my alley. That would have been something I feel like Bella would have really enjoyed. She always liked weird, wacky coffees like that. But anyway, for me, Blue Collar Coffee Company is not only a 10 out of 10 because they have really great, unique coffee. They also have, pretty cool merch, right? Represent. But I also really like, the kind of underlying mission, so to speak. I really like that whole pay it forward coffee thing. I think we need more of that just in general in the world. We need more of people taking care of people, take care of your fellow man kind of thing in the world today. Everything is just so self-centered anymore. So that was a nice breath of fresh air for sure. So, breakfast, in-room dining this morning. Oh, I was so underwhelmed, unfortunately. I hate to say it. So, first of all, the Sunshine Burger. I will say that the sun didn't rise too high on this one. So, 7 out of 10. Just slightly above average, not really blown away. I wasn't expecting to be, but, every now and then it'd be nice to be pleasantly surprised, right? So the potatoes, and just way underdone for my taste. Just super duper average. So put them right in the super duper average position of 5 out of 10. The cinnamon roll, that was definitely the best thing on the menu this morning. So 8 out of 10, it was just the right amounts, gooey, chewy, and looey. No, it was really just the right amount, of gooey, chewy, the sweetness was on point. It wasn't too sweet despite being absolutely drowned in icing. So really enjoyed that. And that brings the in-room dining to an overall score of 20 out of 30. So the overall dining score with all of that added up is, with a total possible point total. Wow, that didn't come out right. With a total number of possible points, that's how English works, of 110, we ended up with a overall dining score of 74 out of 110. That's just a 67%. So that's really surprising to me. I tried to go in without really high expectations, but just barely a passing score, that's surprising to me, and I'll be interested to see how that stacks up against any future hotel dining that we reviewed. I feel like Bottleworks is kind of a sort of a mid-tier hotel for the area especially, and I was expecting better dining options. Admittedly, Clancy's Burgers, that was not technically inside the hotel, but I am counting the garage and Bottleworks as sort of one and the same in this instance, only because there's a reference to to the garage on the Bottleworks website. So maybe we would have done better if we had eaten at the restaurant in the hotel, but you can't always control that when you're allowing AI and a literal roll of the dice to decide where you're gonna eat. Maybe we would have done better, if If the dice had fallen differently, who knows? But please don't let my dining review dissuade you from trying out Bottleworks Hotel. Because if you're a normal person and not a YouTuber, you know, you would look up restaurants nearby, you would look at Google reviews, you know, you would actually use an informed process to choose where you were going to eat versus allowing AI and a roll of the dice to do it for you. So yeah, you will see that food and drink is definitely the most lacking category in the overall review. So keeping that in mind and seeing the other scores for the other categories, you should hopefully be able to see that, you know, if you're in the area and you want a unique hotel experience, you know, something that's not your Holiday Inn kind of thing, you know, your big chain, then Bottleworks is kind of the way to go. So I think that segues in nicely to our overall hotel score. So total hotel score with a possible 150 points, 111 out of 150, or 74%. So that's a solid C in my book. I expected better, but again, the dining really drug it down, unfortunately. And that's not necessarily the hotel's fault. That's more so the fault of maybe a bad dice roll. So maybe going forward, I shouldn't count dining with the hotel review if the restaurant is not inside the hotel. If we weren't including Clancy's, then that would bring that average way up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should I make a change to the scoring system? I'm always open to comment. All right, so pros and cons. Pros, super historic, beautiful building in a beautiful part of town. They've really done a great job with the whole Bottleworks district. It's very well laid out. You know, got a lot of diverse food, entertainment kind of things going on. So definitely a neat destination if you're looking for a place to go. Staff is great, super helpful, super attentive, even though, you know, they like to roll sixes. So if you need somebody to roll a dice, don't get Dominic to do it. But yeah, super clean room, you know, great AC, great Wi-Fi, really comfortable beds, really a nice range of amenities in the hotel and in the surrounding area. So lots and lots of pros for the hotel. And the only real con I can think of, and really having to reach for this one, is I feel like for the price, which I don't know if I've mentioned the price directly up to this point, but I paid about $350 for the room with taxes and everything all in for one night. And I feel like the price is, you know, justified for what you get, for the location, you know, things like that. But I also think that given that high price, it might be just a little bit better if it was a little lower, so, you know, that hotel and that kind of experience could be more accessible to more people. So yeah, there's my list of pros and cons for the hotel, along with total scores. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed tagging along with me and Bob while we checked out everything that Bottleworks and the Bottleworks district had to offer. We really enjoyed it. So if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming epic adventures. So I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.